Hey warrior, have you ever felt the world pressing in on you? The weight of expectation, the sting of judgment, the relentless noise of 1,000 opinions telling you who you are, what you should do, and why you're not enough. You feel this desperate, burning need to push back, to set the record straight, to shout your truth from the rooftops until everyone finally understands. You want to explain your heart, justify your choices, defend your honor. You feel that if you could just find the right words, the perfect argument, you could silence the critics and win their approval. Stop, take a deep breath. I want you to listen, not just with your ears, but with that quiet, steady part of you that knows the truth. The world will never run out of opinions. The critics will never fall silent. The demand for your explanation will never be satisfied. Every time you answer one doubt, another will rise in its place. You are caught in a phantom war, fighting shadows with words, and it is draining the very lifeblood from you. It is stealing the one resource you can never get back: your energy, your focus, your time. Today we talk about a different path, an ancient path, carved not from words but from silence and stone. It is the path of the doer, not the defender. It is the path of the builder, not the debater. It is the path of the soul that is so certain of its own foundation that it feels no need to justify its existence. This is the path of inner strength, where your actions become your only necessary explanation and your character becomes your unbreakable shield. This is the path where you learn to let the world talk while you walk. Imagine two figures standing on a vast, open plain. A storm is gathering on the horizon. The first figure is agitated. They run back and forth, pointing at the dark clouds, shouting to anyone who will listen. They complain about the injustice of the weather. They explain why they deserve clear skies. They defend their right to a sunny day. They are consumed by the storm before the first drop of rain even falls. They are exhausted, their voice is raw, and their energy is spent on protest and petition. Now look at the second figure. They see the same storm. They feel the same shift in the air, but they do not speak. They turn their back to the wind and begin to work. They gather stones, one by one. They methodically, calmly build a shelter. They are not concerned with the opinion of the clouds. They are not trying to reason with the thunder. They are focused on the single thing within their control: their response. When the storm finally breaks, the first figure is drenched, defeated, and shouting hoarsely at an indifferent sky. The second figure is inside their shelter, dry and secure, listening to the rain, at peace. Which one are you? Which one do you want to be? We live in a culture of explanation. We are taught from a young age to have our story ready, our alibi prepared. Social media has turned this into a constant performance. We curate our lives and then stand guard, ready to defend every post, every picture, every choice against the tribunal of public opinion. If someone misunderstands our intention, we rush to clarify. If someone criticizes our work, we scramble to justify its merits. If someone questions our character, we launch into a passionate defense, listing our virtues and past good deeds. We believe our power lies in our ability to persuade, to manage perceptions, to control the narrative that others have about us. This is the great illusion of modern life. The Stoic philosophers, men who navigated the treacherous worlds of Roman politics, exile, and empire, understood this with piercing clarity. They knew that seeking validation from others is like building your house on the sand of their ever-shifting moods. The emperor who praises you today may banish you tomorrow. The crowd that cheers your name may call for your head next week. True power, they realized, is not external. It is not granted by others. It is internal. It is forged. It is the unshakable fortress of your own mind. Think about the energy you spend. Count the hours you've lost, stewing over a negative comment, crafting the perfect reply to a slight, replaying a conversation in your head where you wish you'd said something different. It's like having a hole in your pocket where your life force just leaks away. That energy could have been used to learn a new skill, to build a business, to write a book, to get stronger in the gym, to be present with your loved ones, to build your shelter against the storm. The person who is constantly explaining is operating from a place of insecurity. They are implicitly saying, "Your opinion of me is more important than my own. Please, approve of me so that I can approve of myself." This is a state of psychological slavery. You have handed the keys to your own peace of mind to a world that, frankly, is too busy with its own problems to be a reliable keeper of your well-being. The alternative is not arrogance. It is not a cold indifference to others. It is a quiet confidence. It is a deep, internal alignment. The person who has chosen the path of action understands a fundamental truth. You cannot control what people think. You cannot control what they say. You cannot control their interpretations, their biases, or their projections. You can only control your own thoughts, your own intentions, and your own actions. This is the famous Stoic dichotomy of control, the master key that unlocks a life of tranquility and purpose. When you truly internalize this, a profound shift occurs. The frantic need to be understood vanishes. The sting of criticism lessens, not because it no longer happens, but because you no longer see it as a verdict on your worth. It's just information. It's noise from the storm. You are too busy building your shelter to be distracted by the sound of the wind. Let me tell you a story about a man named Leo. Leo was a brilliant architect, a man who saw cathedrals in blank spaces and symphonies in steel and glass. For years, he worked at a prestigious firm, but he was always the second in command, the quiet genius behind a charismatic but less talented partner named Marcus. Marcus was a master of words. He could sell a vision, charm a client, and explain away any flaw with such dazzling rhetoric that people were left applauding his honesty. Leo, on the other hand, let his blueprints do the talking. He was quiet, meticulous, and deeply passionate about the integrity of his work. One day, they landed a legacy project, the commission to design a new city library, a building meant to stand for a century. It was Leo's dream. He poured his soul into it, working late nights, sketching, modeling, refining every detail until it was perfect. The design was revolutionary, a blend of classical form and sustainable innovation. But when it was time to present to the city council, Marcus He presented Leo's work as his own, using his silver-tongued charm to weave a story around the design that barely touched on the true architectural genius within it. The council was captivated. The project was approved. Marcus's name was on every headline. Leo's was a footnote. The betrayal was a physical blow. It hollowed him out. His first instinct was rage. He wanted to scream. He drafted emails to the city council, to the architectural guilds, to the press, exposing Marcus for the fraud he was. He gathered his original sketches, his notes, his proof. He was ready to go to war, to burn down the temple to prove he was its rightful architect. His friends and family urged him on. "You can't let him get away with this," they cried. "You have to defend your name." For a week, Leo lived in a hell of his own making. He was consumed by bitterness, by the need for justice, by the burning desire to make Marcus pay and to make the world see the truth. He didn't sleep. He barely ate. His life, once filled with the joy of creation, was now a swamp of resentment and vengeful plotting. He was the man on the plain, shouting at the storm. One night, exhausted and defeated, he was sitting in his darkened study, the angry emails still glowing on his screen. He looked over at his bookshelf, and his eyes fell on an old, worn copy of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. He hadn't opened it in years. He picked it up, and a passage seemed to find him. "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." The words landed not like a command, but like a key turning in a rusted lock. Be unlike him. What was Marcus? A man of words, of surfaces, of explanations. His power was in perception. And what was Leo becoming? A man obsessed with words, with setting perceptions straight, with explanations. In his quest for revenge, he was becoming the very thing he despised. A profound calm washed over him. He closed his laptop. He would not send the emails. He would not fight a day war of words with a master of words. He would not drain his creative spirit in the mud of public opinion. His purpose was not to be a debater. His purpose was to be a builder. He made a decision. It was quiet, internal, and it changed everything. He would let Marcus have the library. He would let the world believe the lie. It was an external, a thing outside of his control. What was in his control? His skill, his integrity, his next action. He resigned from the firm the next day. He didn't make a scene. He simply handed in his letter, wished them well, and walked away. He took his savings and rented a tiny office, just big enough for a drafting table and a coffee machine. He had no reputation, no clients, no name. The industry whispered that he'd had a breakdown, that he couldn't handle the pressure. He heard the whispers. He felt the sting. But he remembered the storm. He ignored the noise and began to gather his stones. His first project was a small community garden pavilion, a job no one else wanted. He poured the same soul into it that he had poured into the library. He used reclaimed materials, designed it to be in harmony with the small park, and spent time with the local residents to understand what they needed. It was a tiny structure, but it was perfect. It was honest. It was his. Someone from a local blog wrote a small piece about it. It wasn't about drama or betrayal. It was about the simple beauty of the structure. That blog post was seen by a small business owner who needed a new storefront. Leo took the job. He worked with the same quiet, obsessive dedication. The storefront won a local design award. The award was mentioned in a regional magazine. That mention was seen by a wealthy couple looking to build a unique, sustainable home. And so it began, stone by stone, project by project. Leo never once spoke of Marcus. He never once complained about the library. When people asked why he left his prestigious job, he would simply say, "It was time for me to build on my own." His explanation was not in his words. It was in the grain of the wood he chose, the line of the roofs he designed, the way light filled the spaces he created. His work was his statement. His integrity was his argument. Years passed. Leo's firm grew, not through aggressive marketing or charismatic speeches, but through the undeniable quality of its work. He became known as an architect of quiet genius, a man whose buildings felt like they had a soul. He was sought after by those who valued substance over style. One day, he was invited to be a guest lecturer at a major university. After his talk, a young student came up to him, her eyes wide with admiration. "Your work is incredible," she said. "I studied the new city library in my first year, and the lead architect, Marcus, often mentioned your name. But looking at his work since then, and looking at yours, it's clear who the real artist was." Leo just smiled. He felt no surge of vindication, no triumphant, "I told you so." That war was long over, and he had won it years ago, not by fighting, but by refusing to fight. He had won by building. "The work is what matters," he told the student. "Just do the work. The rest will take care of itself." This is the power we are talking about today. It is the power of letting your life be the argument. Think of the great figures of history who embodied this. They were not defined by the defenses they mounted, but by the empires they built, the discoveries they made, the art they created, the movements they led. Their actions echoed through time, long after the whispers of their critics faded into nothing. When you refuse to explain, you are not being weak. You are conserving your power. You are making a statement that your energy is too valuable to be spent on trivial battles. You are demonstrating that your self-worth is not up for debate. It is a settled matter, decided by you and you alone. This is incredibly difficult to practice in a reactive world. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your immediate instinct is to honk, to glare, to mentally list all the reasons they are a terrible person. Someone leaves a condescending comment on your work, and your fingers itch to type a blistering retort, dismantling their flawed logic piece by piece. A family member misunderstands your motives, and you feel a deep ache to sit them down and walk them through your entire thought process until they finally see your pure intentions. Each of these is a pull away from your center. Each is an invitation to leave your fortress and fight in the mud. The Stoic practice is to pause in that space between stimulus and response. In that pause, you ask yourself, is this within my control? Will engaging in this battle serve my higher purpose, or will it simply drain my energy, leaving me weaker for the tasks that truly matter? Most of the time, the answer is clear. Honking at the driver won't make you get there faster. Arguing with the online troll won't change their mind. It will only validate their power to provoke you. Over-explaining yourself to a skeptical relative often just entrenches them further in their own opinion. So, what do you do instead? You practice the art of the calm response, or no response at all. You let the car speed away and you refocus on the road. You see the comment, you acknowledge the flicker of anger or hurt, and then you let it go, like a cloud passing in the sky. You choose to act with love and integrity toward your family member, letting your consistent behavior, over time, be the only explanation they need. This isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. You feel the anger, the hurt, the injustice. You acknowledge it. You sit with it for a moment, but you do not let it dictate your actions. You are the master of the house, not the servant of every emotional visitor that knocks on your door. Your actions are guided by your values, your virtues, courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom, not by the fleeting provocations of the outside world. Think about it in your own life. Where are you leaking power? Is it in your career, constantly justifying your decisions to a micromanaging boss or insecure colleagues? Is it in your relationships, endlessly relitigating past hurts? Is it online, getting drawn into pointless arguments with strangers? Imagine reclaiming all of that energy. What could you build with it? What shelter could you create? Maybe you've always wanted to start your own business. Instead of spending hours complaining about your current job and explaining to everyone why you're unhappy, what if you used those hours to write a business plan, to learn about marketing, to build a prototype? You don't announce your intentions. You don't seek validation for your dream. You just quietly, consistently build. One day, you don't need to explain why you're leaving your job. Your new business is the explanation. Maybe you want to get in the best shape of your life. Instead of talking about the diet you're going to start on Monday or explaining why you haven't had time for the gym, what if you just went today? Not with a grand announcement, but with a quiet promise to yourself. You get up a little earlier. You skip the second helping. You drink the water. You do the push-ups. You don't post about it. You don't look for applause. You just do the work. In 6 months, your reflection in the mirror will be all the explanation anyone needs. Your energy, your vitality, your quiet confidence will speak for you. This principle transforms every area of life. It's about being, not seeming. The world is full of people who are experts at seeming. They have the right words, the perfect image, the curated persona. They are hollow. Their foundation is built on the opinions of others, and it is fragile. The person who is focused on being disciplined, on being virtuous, on being a craftsman of their own life, builds their foundation on the bedrock of their own character. Storms may come and go, but the foundation holds. Consider the ancient Spartans. They were famously laconic, men of few words. An enemy envoy sent them a long, threatening message, detailing all the things they would do if the Spartans did not surrender. The Spartans sent back a single word: if. Their actions on the battlefield were their true response. Their discipline, their courage, their phalanx, that was their argument. They conserved their energy for what mattered. They didn't debate, they did. This is not a call to be antisocial or uncommunicative. It is a call to be intentional. Speak when it is necessary, when it is helpful, when it is kind. But release yourself from the obligation to manage everyone's perception of you. Release yourself from the belief that you owe the world an explanation for your existence, for your choices, for the path you walk. Your life is the explanation. The way you treat people is the explanation. The quality of your work is the explanation. The resilience you show in the face of adversity is the explanation. The calm you maintain in the middle of chaos is the explanation. Like Leo the architect, you will face moments of profound injustice. You will be misunderstood. You will be underestimated. You will be wronged. Your gut reaction will be to fight with words, to claw back your reputation, to scream your truth. In that moment, I want you to remember this. I want you to pause. I want you to ask yourself, am I the man shouting at the storm, or am I the man building the shelter? The desire for explanation comes from a place of pain. We want to explain because we are hurt. We believe that if the other person could just understand our pain, they would change their behavior. Sometimes this is true. In intimate, trusting relationships, open communication is vital. But in the wider arena of the world, in our careers, in public life, with acquaintances and critics, this belief is often a trap. It keeps us tethered to our wound, constantly seeking relief from the very source of our pain. The Stoic approach is to learn to heal yourself. It is to understand that your peace does not depend on an apology from someone else. Your validation does not depend on their approval. Your strength is forged in the act of moving forward. Despite the injustice, despite the lack of understanding, you move forward by focusing on your own actions, on your own character. You become your own source of peace. How do you start? You start small. The next time you feel the urge to defend yourself online, pause, close the app, go for a walk. The next time a colleague makes a passive-aggressive comment, pause, do not engage. Respond with polite, professional focus on the task at hand. Let your excellence be your response. The next time you feel the need to complain about a situation you cannot change, pause. Pivot your mind to the one thing you can do, no matter how small, to improve your position. This is a practice. It is a muscle. It will feel unnatural at first. The world will scream for your reaction. Your own ego will demand to be defended. You must be patient. You must be persistent. With every small victory, with every time you choose action over explanation, the muscle gets stronger. Your inner fortress gets more fortified. You will begin to notice a new kind of freedom. It is the freedom of not caring in the most profound and positive sense. It's not that you become heartless, it's that your heart is no longer held hostage. You become lighter. The energy you once spent on defense is now yours to create, to love, to build. Your life becomes your magnum opus, your great work. Every day is a chance to add another brushstroke, to lay another stone. Some days you will lay a great many. Other days, you may only have the strength to lay one. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you are building, not explaining. You are moving forward, not looking back. You are focused on your own wall, not on the graffiti others may be spraying on it. So, warrior, I ask you again, the storm is coming. It is always coming. The winds of change, the rains of adversity, the thunder of criticism. Will you stand on the plain, wasting your breath, explaining why you deserve the sun? Or will you turn your back to the wind, pick up your first stone, and begin to build your shelter? Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them judge. Their words are wind. They cannot touch the foundation you are laying. Your focus is elsewhere. You are busy. You are building a life of purpose, a life of resilience, a life of peace. And when the storm passes and the sun returns, your work will remain. It will stand as a testament, silent and strong. It will need no explanation. It will be the explanation. Now, go and pick up your stone. The work is waiting.